Paintings are full of unsolved mysteries. To understand the mystery of each picture, you have to get acquainted with the life and thoughts of its creator. Let these paintings come to life. Watch our new TV program at the gallery.
It is an absolutely amazing example when two people meet and form a family, artistic and spiritual union. And indeed it is the union of the two congenial people who are like-minded in their creative pursuit and in their art ideals. But at the same time, just as anyone else, just as any artist, each of them is unique. But I think that they complement each other so organically in this duet. The energy of one of them is an integral part of another, and it is completely impossible to speak of them and consider them separately from each other. Biographies of the great people form certain stereotypes in our minds. For example, that a talented artist should be poor, miserable and lonely. As if there can't be exciting and soul-touching works without the suffering. A happy art union of Elena and Vladimir Grigoryan breaks these prejudices. Today, we shall get to know the art of these artists on the example of paintings 1961 and Solitude. Historical reference: 1961 painting by Elena Grigoryan, 2012. Oil on canvas, mixed technique. I think this work turned out to be very interesting because it contains a certain message. When we look at this girl's face, when we look in her eyes, we don't see any hatred or grievance or evil in the entire world. She's very balanced and deep. You can feel great love and tenderness in her. Historical reference: Solitude painting by Vladimir Grigoryan, 2017. Oil on canvas. Solitude is just a human figure who's thinking over the choice he has to make, a serious choice. As you know, Francis of Assisi was a man who dared to comprehend the Gospels literally. But literate understanding of the Gospels requires certain actions. And understanding it literally, he left everything in deed and followed Christ. Two origins are always organically present in their works. It is always an aesthetic origin, celebrating the beauty and harmony of the world, inseparably united with spirituality. So ethics and aesthetics are the two things which should be present in everything surrounding a human. They say marriages are made in heaven. With the Grigoryans, it seems that's the way it is. There is also no doubt that they both were born to be artists. Both in Elena's and Vladimir's case, the choice was made in their early childhood. They both liked drawing for as far as they can remember. They both grew up turning over the pages of the art albums. Elena is sure that her passion to ceramics is not accidental. Heredity played an important role in this case. In my family, in father's line, my grandfather and great-grandfather were potters. And interestingly, they were good potters. My great-grandfather made pottery, which he took to towns and villages for sale. These items were very popular and were considered to be the best in the neighborhood. I was a little child, only 2 or 3 years old. He took me on his lap, touched my head and said, "She's mine." And father said, "Well, he blessed you." I don't separate work in painting and in ceramics. These are interrelated processes. Sometimes I solve the painting tasks in ceramics with glaze. And by the way, it sometimes helps me finding something that I can't find in painting. I find the answers there, and it's very useful, shifting from one kind of art to another. Vladimir and Yelena Grigoryan were born in Baku. After school, they went to College of Arts, and there, the destiny brought them together. Their friendship lasted for 7 years, and then the new family emerged. We serve each other. We don't have no ranking who's higher, who's lower, who's leading man and who's not. Our union is democratic. It is equal. We love each other and we trust each other very much. Each one is busy with his own matters. Grigoryan is the experimentalist. She is in a permanent pursuit for the new themes, new shapes, materials and ideas. She is not only a magnificent ceramic artist, but also a master of collage. Various art elements are united and combined in her works. That's why she often complements her paintings either with elements of fabric or by including the old-time photographs. Always the old-time photographs which were made in the early 20th century, when the art of photography was not as depreciated as today. Our everyday life is accompanied by hundreds of photographs. And every moment recorded by a photographer cannot be as valued as it was 50, 70 or 100 years ago. The old-time photograph is a moment, caught in the flow of time, the echo of the remote past. Yelena Grigoryan's diptych, 1961, has an interesting story. This work was based on 2 photographs of the early 20th century. It was an incredibly beautiful image of a young lady. She was just beautiful, with some spiritual beauty and purity. I was guided by it, but you know, I thought I could do something lyrical, but it didn't work. For some reason it worked this way. Maybe there was a bit of oriental theme and colors. And working on it, I felt that it was getting a bias in tragedy, and I didn't know why. And this tragedy was expressed in color. Yelena got these old-time photographs from her friend in Russia, who was of noble family. From the whole archive, the artist chose 2 pictures of a delicate girl. When the painting was finished and already had toured over several exhibitions, the artist found out that the girl from the photo had a tragic fate. In addition, it was related to Kazakhstan. She was a young lady from a very rich, noble family. When the revolution occurred, they had to leave for Shanghai with her husband, but then got back to the Soviet Union. And you know, the interesting fact that she was exiled to Akmala camp of wives of the betrayers of the nation, where she died. And somehow, when I got these photographs and made this work, I didn't know anything about it. And the circle was closed again here in Kazakhstan. How does it happen? Obviously, it should have been the way it was. A serious, clever work. It is made in so austere, laconic means. A few special techniques are used, only pastels, rough painting, and these photographs. About there's a human soul. The soul of this girl, of the future woman, a woman who faced such a horrible tragedy. And she used a very interesting method. Actually, there is no storyline there. Just color stains on canvas. And a rectangular spot shaped as an envelope made of leaf gold with an azure dove sitting on it. Birds are like heralds. They pass on information to us, as if messages from the past. The Gregorians speak on the same subjects, but in a different way. Each of them has his own art language. Vladimir and Yelena grew up on works of the great masters of the past. They are united by their interest in biblical themes, spiritual pursuit, and frank conversations about the eternal. Vladimir Gregorian doesn't paint from nature. He prefers to rely on his memory and fantasy. In his painting, he's inclined to monochrome, with a restrained color combination. I'm interested in human, in his life, his needs, his being. I'm trying to reflect it in many aspects. And usually I don't have the exact heroes. I usually paint some generalized character. For example, my latest works are related to Francis of Assisi. Historical reference. Francis of Assisi is a Catholic saint who lived in the 12th and 13th centuries. He was the founder of Franciscan order, the order of mendicant friars. It is a custom to symbolically paint Francis in a monk's habit, belted with a rope with 3 ties, symbolizing 3 vows he made: poverty, celibate, and obedience. We went to Assisi, to the places where Francis of Assisi was born. These places are inspired with the spirit of Francis. The Gregorians travel a lot. Each trip is full of surprises and new discoveries. It is the time when the seeds of the future works germinate the heart of an artist. Maybe we were lucky with the weather. There were incredible frogs, and the whole city of churches and cloisters was a bit hovering. There was a feeling that it is in heaven. It was hovering. That is where Vladimir got the idea of series of works. The artist skillfully uses the contrast color combinations. We see the blue sky in the background, the light shades of the sky, and the dark head of the hero contrasts with it. His dark fulvous, brown, fallow shades in his clothes contrast with the background surrounding it in a right, harmonic way. That's the way the author achieves greater expression for his character. Humans' internal struggle how to live on. The known fact that his father was very rich, he was trading fabric. And he had a choice to continue his father's business, on which his father insisted, or to follow the ascetic life, writing hymns, glorifying God. That was the work I had, the reflection. He's sitting at fabric in the foreground, bowing his head, nursing his knees, barefooted, and he's thinking. This is what makes me interested, a human deed. Each artist conveys a particle of his soul in his every painting. So we see a kind of autobiography in it. Of course, the author conveys emotion he feels himself, as we sympathize with the character and try to believe in what is shown on canvas. It concerns me personally. It was the appeal not to everyone, but to myself first of all. Where are you yourself? What do you choose? How do you live? First of all, you should be honest to yourself. For example, I cannot do the way he did, reject everything, because I have some certain obligations. For example, I teach, I work at self-improvement much. That's why it is a conversation with myself and thinking over myself. And only after that, it's a conversation with the viewers. By the way, his works often open some internal, spiritual ways for you. It is not you who contribute something, but they open something. It is something on the edge of mysticism. It is like that for real. paint of the eternal, of something sacred. I think of a man, of his life, and try to appeal to people for kindness, peace, cooperation, mutual understanding and tolerance. And first of all, it is a frank conversation with myself. Usually I don't paint spontaneously, as if you take a brush, inspiration comes and you start creating at night or in the morning. No, it's a process of everyday work. It's an open, everyday process. I can paint something, or just think about it the whole day, reflecting on some theme, cherishing an idea or a theme. It's a very sacred moment, and I like it a lot. It pleases me because it's a need. It is just like need in air, need to breathe. The artist's favorite instrument is spatula. By means of it, the artist achieves the amazingly delicate feeling of color shade on a painting. His oil techniques are also splendid. Working in combined technique is peculiar for Vladimir. He puts pastel strokes and then uses crumble, overlapping several transparent layers of paint. The image of the saint is a little stylized, as it is accustomed in avant-garde art. At that, it is seen that the artist tried not to distort shapes too much. Each stroke is elaborate. The deep internal work is felt in each motion of brush. The artist skillfully removes all unrequired details in the painting. The main work is concentrated on the main character of the painting, which is skillfully painted frills, hands, feet and face of the main character with whom we sympathize. At the same time, we realize where the character is. It's a market, or a palace, or the main character's home.
One should seek for the truth, for the way, and then the answers will come. Whether your art is sold, thank God. If you can make your bread with it, it's just wonderful.
It's necessary to work on oneself, and we try to do it. Just to work on ourselves, do the work we choose, the work we love.
One should look inside himself more, be in a search and work on oneself.
Both Yelena and Vladimir have completely particular technique, which lets them conveying this internal light through the color combinations. And this inner divine light is a key constituent in many of their paintings. It is a core, key pursuit for the spirituality of art, for the spirituality of existence, which determines the essence of their life and of their art. Painting is a big mystery. It contains many mysterious, deep, hidden things. And it doesn't come easily. It is a very complicated cuisine. And only when you work at some theme hard and much, you can take something out of it to the light of day. These masters' works do not require the open dialogue. In opposite, looking at them one prefers to keep silence, warming up his soul with pure light, and observing how the fleeting time is freezing up. Each of us is a particle of the eternity, and each of us is the whole universe. The paintings of the modern artists of Kazakhstan, the couple and congenial friends Yelena and Vladimir Grigoryan, tell us all about it.